Robbie doesn't know how to start the podcast.
I don't perform on command.
Ben, when you told us you didn't want to record on Tuesday and we moved it to Friday, we hung out that night in Discord anyway.
Yeah,
and we were
of
like,
course.
all three of us really wanted to talk about the movie because we'd watched it the night before. We were like, we can't do it. And then someone, I think it might have been Ray or Robbie, was like, let's just jump into Ben's Discord. I think there's just a command. We can make Craig come and so we really don't know how to start the podcast because Ben's not here. But we're just going to start going.
What would you do if you looked at Discord? It was like just us three in your Discord recording
And
something.
the two robots. You'd have to invite Craig and Georg. I mean, anyone can just do a podcast. You just record it wherever. It's fine. That would have been funny. I would have been stoked if I didn't have to do it myself.
It would have been your first episode you weren't on.
Yeah, and if I'm not on it, I care way less. I wouldn't have even edited it that much. Would have just exported, put it on the feed. There's one down.
You just started off like, all right, I outsourced this one. I haven't even listened to it yet. Have fun, guys.
Hey, friends, we're going to listen to this one together. That'll be my first commentary. Is I'll just be pausing the episode as it goes and be like, all right. Look, I know Greg. I know he doesn't really feel that way about
Okay,
whatever.
yeah, that did seem a little racist.
Now, look, it's... He doesn't feel that way about all Eastern Europeans. He just doesn't like costume shop owners.
Well, I mean, most of them are sex traffickers. I think we can all admit that.
So we're going to get into it, I think. I don't know what we're going to keep, but something there will be the start of the episode. Actually, let's vamp for 1 second, because there's one thing I've been thinking about, and I just need to make sure I get it right. But yeah, so you showed this to your children.
Yes, like I said, I felt bad not letting my daughter be on the podcast because I did let her watch the movie. I'm sure she has a lot to say about it. She's been talking nonstop about it to us and her therapist. No, this isn't a movie for children. Don't let children watch this.
Look, we have a lot of fun here, but real talk.
Not only should you not let children watch this, maybe just don't let anybody.
Yeah, we could just do that too.
No, it wasn't bad.
We'll get into it.
I'm really excited to talk about this one. I've been really holding in not talking about it.
This has been, and you can probably already guess who, dear listener, but after the Mulholland Drive episode, this is probably the most you've talked up having thoughts on an episode before we recorded it. So yeah, we'll get into it. As you know, I don't know how to start the podcast. It'll either be whatever we keep of that or something along the lines of Welcome to Late to the Movies. My name is Ben Holt, and this is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week we'll pick a film that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have done something very important that they should have done as soon as possible by now.
What did you do?
This week, that's very famously the final lines of this movie. Anyway, I won't finish the rest of the quote because we haven't done the 1 minute plot summary yet, and that's how that should end. Anyway, this week, as you may have guessed from that, Eyes Wide Shut, 1999, month continues. We're potting like it's 1999. It's Christmas in August. A great holiday where we're all in the holiday spirit. Left to right across your podcast dial. Ray.
Hi.
Hi. Greg.
Hey.
I don't know why I'm laughing. Robbie.
Hey.
I think the vibes are going to be immaculate on this one.
They're
I guess
gonna be
that's why
perfect.
I'm
It's gonna be
laughing.
good.
I thought we weren't going to do our names. We were all just going to be identified by our masks for this
Oh, yeah.
episode.
Oh, yeah.
That'll translate well to a podcast.
I thought so.
So, crucially, the last episode I recorded with my friend Brady was on The Talented Mr. Ripley, and he came dressed as a character from that film, and we should have done the same.
Oh, my goodness.
You guys know I'd show up naked.
Just with an elaborate mask and G-string.
Yes. Well, I mean, they already have a bucket of masks.
That's true. We could have done masks. Oh, no.
See, like, I'm pretty sure that one was in the movie.
Oh, God. I don't like it. Yeah. Well, Greg's wearing a mask now.
No one will even know who I am.
Remove your mask. And keep podcasting. That's what he should have said. All right. It's
I
going to
really
get too
want
weird.
to use the last line of the movie.
I'm sure Just generally, that'll come up. All right, let's do it. Before we do you want to talk about anything you've seen recently? I haven't watched anything since the last time I recorded, so I've been busy. Life's been crazy. I've been on a plane. I watched more Love is Blind, but I talked about that in the last episode. Just been watching that.
Oh, we watched Alien Covenant.
Yes.
Yes. Last time y'all were on an episode, you had seen it. Ray hadn't. What did you think? And don't forget, Robbie is here.
Yes. Oh, I did see Prometheus too, because I think I hadn't seen Prometheus yet. So we watched Prometheus and then we watched Alien Covenant. I liked Prometheus. I was not a fan of Alien Covenant. Sorry.
Wow.
It was fine.
On a better note, we also rewatched Scott Pilgrim pretty recently.
Oh, nice.
It's still a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the unanimous 5-star reviews, or whatever the scales were. I can't remember this far back, but
Deserves every one.
yep, it's good. And it'll be the same case tonight. Yeah, let's just get into it. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, wait, one more thing.
Okay.
I rewatched a lot My Neighbor Totoro because one of my kids is really into it. And that movie is just wonderful.
The movie's great. Yeah, you had Ponyo on Sunday before D&D. Or is it just a Ghibli kick right now?
No. It was mostly Totoro, but I think Ren wants a different one. So we put on Ponyo.
There you go.
I think it just was it after we finished Totoro, it was like, you might also want to watch this now. And she was like, I want to watch that now. those work really good on kids.
How'd they know? I do want to watch that another movie. It works on me too. All right. I watched this on YouTube, so I'm not sure if you watch this on a streaming service. I'm curious what comes up. As we bet you'd be into this too.
I don't know what came up. I don't remember.
Yeah. Just like other romantic comedies, probably. From the 90s.
Yeah, just a bunch of,
Julia Roberts, Hugh Grant movies.
Yeah, a bunch of those. That was it.
I think because I noticed at the end, like it was recommending stuff, but I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember.
Anyway, the movie tonight's Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's last movie, came out in 1999. I have seen this movie before. I get the feeling y'all had not.
I had never seen this movie. I had never heard of this movie.
Interesting. It occupies a really interesting place in film history, but I don't feel like this podcast shines when we get too into the historical aspect of stuff. So I'm really curious to know how you all felt about the movie. So who wants to start with a 1-minute plot summary?
I could do it.
Okay.
So, all right. And just let me know when it starts because this might take a little.
Long movie. He wants all the time he can have.
60 seconds, please.
All right. I'm going. Tom Cruise unsuccessfully tries to cheat on his wife for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, just about. Yeah. There you go. That was a called shot. That's how that has to end. I couldn't move on until someone said that.
Somebody can do a real one if they want, but that's
pretty good.
I feel like that is basically what happened.
Pretty good.
I mean, you can't get into like the orgy stuff, but then like you get right to the end and they're like, well, yeah, none of that was actually really a big deal. You just kind of all freaked out for no reason. Okay, well.
Who unsuccessfully cheats at their wife at an orgy?
He strikes out so much.
He like paid a stripper or a hooker and didn't even sleep with her.
Yeah. And the people that are like throwing themselves at him, he has reasons for not pursuing that. And then when he tries to get into it, it doesn't work. It's just a weird night.
It's a weird night. He
gets called a lot of homophobic slurs by some bros at one point.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I noticed this time I was watching it that one guy went, "Exit only, honey," like about his own ass, which was funny.
Yes.
Which I don't remember being. Maybe I'll cut that out if that turns out that's like a really popular, horrific thing to say. Maybe I'll just cut that out just in case, but I don't think I've heard that in any context before.
Probably not.
So this was a really weird movie to watch. Like, I had never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it. They were just like, let's just watch this movie. Because the whole time I was like,
That's the best way to watch it. That's what this podcast is for.
I was like, what is going on?
So the only thing I knew about this movie is there's a big orgy with a bunch of masks on, and I spent like the first 45 minutes being like, is this the person that gets them to the orgy? Is this the person that gets them to the orgy? Because it's like, how does he end up there?
Well, he ends up there because of Nick Nightingale,
Yes.
piano player played by Todd Field, director of Tar.
What?
Yeah, I told you, Todd Field. You didn't recognize him because he's normally wearing a big hat.
Oh, he didn't have any hat.
If you look up his most photos of him, he's wearing a big hat. But anyway, yeah, he directed Tar.
I did actually. That was the one thing I know is in the chat you guys had mentioned something about an orgy. So when it was starting, I was like, does this person?
I think I said we could do Eyes Wide Shut. It might be a really weird conversation. Robbie said, is that the one with the masks and the orgy? And I said, yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
Also Tom Cruise. And I know you hate Tom Cruise.
I do.
But that might work to your favor for this movie.
I guess I glossed over the orgy bit because I remember you saying something about Tom Cruise. I don't remember anything about him.
I didn't remember that you said Tom Cruise and the movie started. I was like, is that Tom Cruise? And then the next thing I thought
you
was
guys
like,
are bad at reading. I don't know what to tell you.
So my thoughts when this movie started was I was waiting the whole time to be like, who gets them to an orgy? Because it's like, there's got to be something. And then the movie starts and I'm like, oh, holy shit, Tom Cruise is in this. And then Nicole Kidman shows up and I'm just like, Tom Cruise is so short.
Yes, that's a tall lady. It's a tall lady. You immediately see her butt.
Immediately.
Yeah.
It's a tall butt.
Like
It's a tall
opening
butt.
credits, but
Yes, there was opening credits, but
Yeah. Pre-director name drop butt.
You immediately see Tom Cruise wearing Uggs, and I've determined that he's the one that started the Ugg craze in America.
oh, I didn't notice the Uggs.
Makes sense. So they're from Australia, like Nicole Kidman. So maybe she introduced him to Uggs.
Maybe.
And I think I mean, I don't remember hearing about them before 1998, but I don't remember much before 1998.
Famously, it's 1999 month, but close. Famously. The whole world is talking about the theme this month.
But yeah, 1997 was fine.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't remember getting into Uggs ever, but definitely not when I was 8. But they did take over the world pretty quickly after this.
okay. But
we're sort of talking around it. I don't know where to get in on this one exactly, but it looks ridiculous.
coming into it with nothing, I'll be honest. It starts off and I was like, what is happening? Because I was like, is this like a failed relationship movie? Because they're both like flirting with other people at that party. But then it seemed like, no, that's not what's happening here. And then she has the weird conversation where things go south, but then ends up at the orgy. And then I was like, wait, is this some kind of mystery, like thrill? Like, is this about to be a murder movie? Yeah. And then he's like,
you just saying that covered about an hour and 45 minutes.
yes.
Right.
And at that point though, I was still wondering what kind of movie it could be because nothing's really happened. It's just Tom Cruise wandering around a city. Right?
It's true. And then we get to the end and I'm still unclear about what type of movie this is.
Really? That's so interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I was confused. I did not hate the movie though. The movie held my attention the whole 4.5 hours that it was on.
We had to stop a lot to answer Ren's questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
obviously. She had
There's
a lot
of questions.
A lot of questions. Kindergartners, when they're exposed to these kind of things.
Why are those Asian men wearing wigs in the closet?
So it was.
Why do they order so much Chinese food?
So it was a confusing experience, but I liked. Like I paid attention, you know what I mean? I felt like the pacing was really weird. It seemed like it was way too slow.
You told us we should watch it on YouTube and speed it up, and I didn't take advantage of that. And I was like, man, I should have taken advantage of that. But I would have put it back when they were talking again. But there was just so many periods where it was like, here's a shot of something for like 2 minutes. Like, why?
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing.
I could go through and edit this movie and get it down to like an hour and 30 minutes.
I do like when Nicole Kidman gets way too aggressive with the pot.
Oh yeah, so that scene is so good. It's so Kubrick. We don't have to get into the whole Kubrick thing. I think we did that with The Shining. That was 2.5 years ago. We recorded that episode. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'd say it better now, but anyway, yes. Sometimes he does a lot of takes. He doesn't necessarily know what he's looking for. He'll see it when he finds it. according to some, maybe he's just fucking with his actors, making them do hundreds of takes. That scene in particular, I feel like Nicole Kidman's line readings in certain parts are like, well, that's the one that you throw out when maybe it's 3 a.m. and Kubrick's made you do this same line reading 500 times and you just go, "Dee squeezed." Do they wonder what handsome Dr. Bill's little dickie looks like? And yeah, what a great actor. I mean, she's incredible.
I think this is the youngest I've ever seen her. Like, I didn't recognize her at first.
It's tough. She kind of like, she doesn't have like bad plastic surgery now, but I just picture her in like the AMC ads where it's like her face is a little different and she like never has curly hair anymore. But damn.
Yeah.
It's an attractive lady. With the glasses too. I don't know. It just works.
I thought it was funny that she had the glasses on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It gave the vibes of just like, you know, look at this now unattractive lady that's a mom. She's wearing glasses.
You do kind of feel bad for her when she's like kind of picking a fight, sort of just trying to get a rise out of Tom Cruise because it's like interesting to her in that moment to kind of like have something to react to. But she takes him being like, "Oh yeah, I definitely understand why that guy wanted to sleep with you." It's like, "Oh, is that the only reason men would want to sleep with me?" But like, yeah, if you look like Nicole Kidman, maybe like, I don't know, I got to throw in some glasses. It's really hard just to exist in the world. People are too distracted by me on a day-to-day basis.
Glasses will make me hideous.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, think about that sometimes. If you look like that, but you're not famous and just existing in the real world, yeah, you got to frump it up just to go get coffee, probably.
I gotta frump it up.
Frump it up.
Anyway.
But yeah, I like that part mostly because she was so unreasonable. I was like, why does she hate Tom Cruise?
It was a really
She's just trying to get something out of him because he's bullshitting her. She's being real with him, and he's kind of like massaging the truth a little bit too much, and she's kind of calling him on that bullshit. I think.
I think she was just being mean.
Yeah, I think she was just
too
being
aggressive.
It happens. I mean, yeah, one of the I love that line so much.
No, it was a good scene. He was just trying to tell her what she wanted to hear, and it was not what she wanted.
No, she wanted a real conversation or just to get something out of him.
Yeah.
Or just to fight because it's an interesting dynamic she wanted to explore in that moment.
Yeah, but maybe he just wasn't jealous of this like 65-year-old man trying to sleep with his super hot wife.
Have you ever read the Latin poet Ovid on love?
He was like, "Okay, Grandpa, don't throw up your hip." Like, he was very old.
Do you like sculptures? Would you like to fuck between some sculptures?
Upstairs.
I have some wintergreen candy
right now.
We won't be gone long.
It won't take long.
I'm very old. It will not take.
You're very attractive.
She made the right call. That's the kind of guy that like. That's like the last guy you see before you end up in a morgue.
He was very creepy.
It was creepy.
Not to jump to the end, but yeah, that morgue attendant that's kind of looking away while Tom Cruise is like maybe going to make out with this corpse.
Yeah,
and he's just like,
What was
God,
going on?
he was
it's
thinking
Christmas time. This is like the 10th handsome doctor having an existential crisis trying to kiss a corpse here today.
And then, like, he kept doing like cuts of Tom Cruise's face, just making the most unhinged face I've ever seen in my life. Sorry, I don't know. There was just a lot of weird choices with Tom Cruise.
I didn't edit it. You don't have to apologize to me.
Why did you edit it this way back?
Oh, just to balance it out, since we're still early on, I should say I love this movie. I think it's one of the 2 or 3 best movies we've ever talked about on the podcast. So I'll leave it there for now.
I'm about to ruin this man's day.
And as per usual, like when we did Mulholland Drive, I don't feel the need to defend an unquestionable masterpiece. I have enough people in my corner.
He's in a very defensive posture right now.
That's actually true. I'm protecting all my vital organs.
He's feeling defensive.
He seems very upset.
He's like, I don't feel defensive at all, and he is curled up in a ball.
I'm wearing body armor.
Meh, like middle. It wasn't bad, but I felt like it was paced a little weird for me, a little slow, and I didn't quite understand what point the movie was trying to make, and it confused me a little bit.
I think you're going to be upset with my rating because
I don't get upset with ratings, only if the scale's boring.
I just keep thinking about it because it's like, I don't think I would ever seek out to watch this movie again.
No. You should. I think you get something out of it every time you watch it differently. But you don't have to like.
Not something I enjoy.
I wouldn't say you have to twice in the same week. I'm with you on that.
Okay.
I feel like I don't know what the point was because
interesting.
I don't want them to be together. Like at the end of the movie, they seem to have patched things up, and it's like, well, you're both not good for each other. I don't think that should be what we're rooting for.
Yeah, I don't know if they patched things up or if they just decided like we're going to try and make this work
for the kid.
Yeah, I don't know. And you know, there's like the adage about like every marriage is a bunch of marriages, and every like people change over time, and then you got to try and make it work with who the other person turns into. I don't know. Grain of salt. None of us here have a healthy marriage.
No.
Nope.
Me and Ray liked that they end up kind of like patching things up in the end because they realize they've both done something equally bad.
I was so mad
Tom
about
Cruise
that.
has gone to an orgy, bought a hooker, lied for a couple nights straight while he tried to have sex with all these women, and Nicole Kidman had that dream about cheating on him.
Equally bad.
I don't feel like
Bad
the
people
movie's
on both sides.
I don't feel like the movie's
bad people on
both
both
sides
sides.
yet.
You know what I mean? They both did equally bad things because she had that dream.
I think the way he reacts to her being like, whatever, let's just try and make it work is sort of like underlining that he knows he's been worse than she has. Where he's like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, I guess let's have sex.
Fuck.
Like the least erotic fuck I've ever heard in my life.
Yes. And the movie is filled with the least erotic fucking ever depicted on screen intentionally. Yeah, I don't know. The orgy doesn't happen until over an hour into the movie, but should we just talk about that before we get into like previous plot points? Or is it important at least maybe to talk about the party he goes to at the beginning? That then it's sort of like Funhouse Mirror version of it at the orgy. But at Ziegler's house. Ziegler, by the way, speaking of famous directors, that's Sidney Pollack, who plays Ziegler. I don't know if they ever say what he does. He's just a patient. Guy. Yeah, he's a local rich man.
Yeah, he's a local rich man. He has local rich friends.
Tom Cruise's character, Bill, is a doctor that makes a lot of house calls to rich folks. Mm-hmm. So he travels within certain circles that he feels a part of, but is kind of othered by. He's at this party. He's getting hit on, but then he's also sort of called to clean up the stuff, and he's just like, oh, you'll be discreet about this.
I did like that the person Tom Cruise gets like along with best at the party is someone who's hired to play piano at the party. Like it's not the people at the party. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That scene where he gets greeted at the party by I forget the guy's first name, Victor maybe, Ziegler, and his wife. And then you're like, oh, these are just like typical, very rich socialite sort of vibes. And then the next time you see Ziegler, he's like putting his pants back on, and there's a hooker who's like
dead,
just about dead. And he's like, oh yeah, she had a little accident with a speedball or snowball, whatever. You got this? It's yeah. He's after all sort of just a contractor for this guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you think of that party scene? A lot of weird stuff happens. It looks crazy. This film is shot to make background lights look unlike they ever have in any other movie. And there's a lot of them because it's Christmas. So there's lights everywhere and they all look bizarre.
So I didn't notice any of that.
Okay.
But I did notice it was Christmas because I kept making a lot of jokes about putting this one in the Christmas movie rotation.
Yes, we did make a lot of jokes about that.
Yeah. It's almost like it's overexposed or something. Apparently, I mean, speaking of grains of salt, not knowing anything about how you film films, I guess it's a way that you can, if you're developing film really quickly, lights end up super sort of blown out, overexposed, whatever. And that's how the whole movie kind of looks. Contributing to its weird, half dreamlike state.
I was just kind of like, oh yeah, Christmas trees looked like that in the 90s.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Sure, there you go.
I did I did like the party, but I felt like it suffered from the same thing as the rest of the film where I felt like it was just too long. Like her talking to the old dude was so long.
Just spinning and dancing. And honestly, 1.25 speed, I feel like would have done you good.
Maybe, yeah, that could have helped. And like I said,
But then 0.5 speed for the orgy, because you get that weird droning in the background. It gets even spookier if you slow it down.
Yes. And I think right off the bat, this is almost where I get kind of confused, because she's like almost interested in cheating on Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise seems to almost be interested in cheating on her right off the bat. But then also she's a little upset about that. Maybe Tom Cruise is thinking about cheating on her while she's thinking about cheating on Tom Cruise with this dude, I guess.
I think she's just sort of getting into it. It's this vibe of feeling wanted, and then seeing her partner also being wanted is just kind of working for her.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. Occam's razor. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
There's people into that.
I also thought that Nicole Kidman would be a larger character, I think, at this point.
After the pot fight, she's pretty much out of it, because he wanders for the next 18 hours.
Yeah, she's like gone, basically. And at this point, I thought it was going to be a movie about them two and their relationship. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of seeming like what it was starting to lay groundwork on. And then, yeah, she's just gone. So I think that was odd. And I liked her, too.
Yeah. So her character, Alice, but it's hard not to use their like real names, because a lot of the context around this movie was them being at the time really private before they got divorced, real life married couple, and it being like, oh, they're going to have lots of sex, and finally the public's going to get to see them have sex and stuff. And then this is the movie they got, and the public was not happy. But anyway, also contributing to the weird sort of snow globe-y nature of the movie, how nothing feels quite real. It's supposed to be in New York, but as we talked about in The Shining, Stanley Kubrick moved to the UK and then hated planes, so never really came back to America. So it's all shot in England. There's some establishing shots of New York, but the actual characters and the acting, I think, all takes place in England. That's why the streets don't really look like New York. They kind of built an intersection of four, roads, and they redress them certain ways, but he's basically just always in the same one block that just looks slightly different every time.
Oh, that's funny.
Which I think also contributes to the weirdness of the movie. But anyway,
I'll be honest. The fact that it's technically all in like one block is not the weirdest part of the movie.
No?
No, there were weird things going on.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get into some of that. So,
Like what? I think I missed those.
so they go to the party. I forget there's actually like a day in between, because when I made the joke about someone who was mad at me, and then like because the pot was making them aggressive after we came back from a party, and then I was watching this, it's like, oh, that's actually the night after the party.
Yes, it's the next one.
Yeah, they have a whole day.
Oh, that's not
in
the
between.
same night as the party?
No, they
No,
just
it's-
fuck and go to bed.
Yeah. So because that was working for her. And then the next morning, she's like, "Hey, you called to thank him for the party, yeah, whatever." So that night they have the pot fight. He gets house called to some lady. That lady's in love with him. He's like, I don't know you.
I don't know you, lady.
Nicole Kidman is very mean to him in the pot fight.
She is.
I think on purpose.
Yeah.
I
That doesn't
feel
make
like
it better.
it's too mean.
Maybe a little bit.
Like it's almost I'm ready to get divorced level mean.
It was like she wanted him to cheat on her so then she could be meaner to him after he did it. Like, I don't know. Like,
I think she just wanted him to be honest. And she thought he wasn't being honest.
I thought he was being honest, so I was really not on Nicole Kidman's side because I don't know. I don't remember word for word what he said, but he didn't seem like he was doing anything to bullshit her or anything. Right?
Because she's like, where'd you go with those two women that you were obviously hitting on? He's like, oh, I wasn't hitting on them, but like he was.
He would no. He says something like I didn't go anywhere with them. I got like I had to go help Ziegler with
But he
something,
wanted
and she was like,
to.
oh sure.
He never said no. He just got pulled away. He was like thinking about saying no at the time he got pulled away. He never did.
I guess he doesn't. I thought at the time they say something along. They're trying to get him to go somewhere.
Yeah, go to the end of the rainbow, and he's like, it depends where the rainbow
Yeah,
ends.
he's like, what does that mean?
they still
took it
being
as
really
like he's-
flirty,
yeah, he was flirting with them, but I took it as like he doesn't. Whatever they're talking about, I am not in on this kind of.
I think he's about to cut it off, but then he
Yes.
says to be continued when he leaves.
I thought that was like a nice, you know what I
I
mean?
think so too. But
So I thought he wasn't really bullshitting her. Like, yeah, he was like flirting, like, you know, kind of flirting with them, but not more than she was with this dude. You know what I mean?
I think she wants him to admit that he enjoyed entertaining the thought. Much like her in the... This is why you can't bring spouses to Cape Cod. I've said this my whole life. I avoid it like the plague, even though it's right over there.
Makes sense.
There's all these
Noted.
fucking
Nicole Kidman
sailors
was just so
hot
mean.
as hell in all that
What is
lobbies.
she tells him, like, I would have thrown away you and my kid and my whole life to sleep with that random sailor
For
time.
one night.
I was like, wow, that is horrible. Such a horrible thing to say.
So the point of that conversation in this text to the movie is that there's this guy, the doctor, who feels like he's, you know, he's one of these like masters of the universe type guys just because he gets to be in this circle. And he's like so confident that he's got nothing to worry about. And that entire worldview is challenged in that conversation. And then he's just trying to pick up the pieces for the rest of the movie.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I just don't think it's fair to like. I mean, if you're in a relationship with someone and you got married to them, you should just always feel like, well, it doesn't matter who the other person is. You wouldn't cheat on me. I don't see that as cocky. I don't know.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think it's... You don't have to be feel like you're the master of the universe to trust your spouse.
I think that wasn't why he trusts his spouse. I'm just saying, like, he doesn't feel like he's questioned any, like he doesn't question anything in his life. He's just taking for granted that this is all good, and it's because he's like this dude that deserves all this stuff or whatever, and is like so good right now. But here's all this shit that he's like, maybe I'm not. Maybe I should have been having sex with random people out in the streets.
Maybe I should have sex with hookers with HIV.
Maybe I should figure out what's going on with those like maybe Illuminati folks that this guy I know is maybe part of.
Okay, we'll get into it. We're
He
not
meets-
Get into it.
I think we're in it.
We're in
He
it.
meets Nick Nightingale at the party. He eventually runs into Nick Nightingale later, but he leaves sort of like shaken from the house call he makes. The lady tries to like run away with him, and he's like, I only know your last name because your dad was a sick guy, ill, not like the other sick. Yeah,
The dad, he had a skateboard, right? Sick.
yeah. If your dad wasn't the first man to do a 900 at the X Games, I wouldn't know who you are. And so when he leaves Jen Hawk's house, he goes to he's just like hanging out in the streets. I think this is when he meets the hooker with a
Yes.
domino.
Yeah.
I'm going back.
Way too easy to be solicited, I would say.
Right?
It seems at first that you're like, oh, this guy's just so naive. He doesn't realize that this is a hooker trying to pick him up. But like, no, he's in.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no,
I'm
he's
down.
in. Yeah.
I like that she looks for clients like in front of her house. I didn't think most hookers did that. But
Okay, I don't know much about hookers, but I was surprised that she's just like looking for people in front of her house.
I live right over here. Feel free to come by anytime. Hopefully you're
And
not a
kill
creepy
me.
weirdo stalker or anything, but
I think he's wearing like a nice jacket, and she's looking for handsome doctors having existential
my
crises
thing is
at
I thought
Christmas.
she asked him the time to see what kind of watch he was wearing.
That's what I thought too.
Smart.
Was she wanted to see what kind of watch she was wearing.
I didn't pick up on that, but that's definitely
I didn't
that's
pick
what I
up on
thought
that
too,
either.
that's
Robbie.
100%.
I think she spotted him, was like, this is some rich doctor and he's really short. Maybe he'll pay for a hooker.
Maybe she heard those guys call him all those homophobic slurs, and was like, "This is a man who needs to prove his masculinity right now."
He is in. I was also confused because, like, not that he had an opportunity to cheat on his wife, but he was nice to that lady where he was like, you're grieving, like, that you don't mean any of this. Like, he was quite a gentleman about it. He was like, no, you can't do this. You're grieving. Like, you don't mean it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, And also, now I'm going to leave and cheat on my wife with the first hooker who talks to me.
Yeah. Gonna pay probably way more than needed. Like, yeah.
He's got a lot of money. He drops like $2,000 that night.
Yeah, he spends a lot of money.
He later rips $100 bill in half.
Did you see his
Doesn't
apartment?
give that guy tape.
Did you see the apartment he has in fucking Manhattan?
I noticed.
Got
it.
like
Yes.
3 empty rooms in that thing.
But he's not in the sex Illuminati. So
No.
Yeah.
he's not quite where he thinks he wants to be.
Yeah.
When he just needs to touch that hot stove, he's got to take a peek behind the curtain. Behind the curtain, it's a lot of dicks, and he gets slapped in the face.
Why does Nick give him the information? Him and Nick are way too friendly for people who have not seen each other in 10 years. If I know it's a different time in life now, but if I bumped into someone from college that I have not seen in 10 years, I would turn really quick and hope they didn't notice me. I'd leave.
You get the impression that maybe they got into some shit or something.
Yeah, I could see that.
That maybe it was from Tom Cruise's bachelor days, and he was like used to be some wild guy or something. And but they never define why these dudes are tight like that.
But I also haven't talked in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, they are cool. Nick is going to throw his career opportunities to this guy.
So it's, I guess, kind of keeps you guessing. The last conversation he has with Ziegler, it's never clear how much of this is real, how much of it isn't real, how much of it is like, maybe it's not usually like that, but they just pick a random person to fuck with. And Tom Cruise was that random person to fuck with because it's a power thing, right?
Oh, like maybe he was in on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, he doesn't know anyone else at the party he gets invited to at the beginning. The one guy that he knows that he goes up to and talks to, and then later this shit happens. And maybe they scatter a few breadcrumbs and like Tom Cruise got there, but they had already done like a weird trial where they tried to strip someone naked like 3 times that night. And these people are so rich they can only have sex if this happens or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's never clear.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be clear, and it's going to drive him crazy forever unless he just lets it go and accepts that he has a really hot wife.
Yeah.
So I was really upset, like when he was having the drink with Nick and whatever. Oh, and by the way, Greg pointed out Tom Cruise never eats anything, but he drinks a lot of liquid.
Yeah. He does not have a meal, but he has like 14 coffees and when he goes to Ray pointed out when he sits down at Nick's show, they're like, "What do you want?" He says, "I'll have beer." He just orders beer.
And they're like, "Yep, I noticed that too." I'll be right back with that.
I get that.
1 beers, please.
1 beer. And they're like, "Oh yes, of course."
My thought was like, well, this place is so fancy, they probably just have like bottles and like really expensive drinks, and then there's just like generic beer. They don't even really know what it is. It just comes out.
Again,
beer.
This is shot actually in England. That might be what you do there. We just have the house beer.
You'll
On
get
tap.
what you get.
Yeah. It's going to be room temperature and it's going to suck.
But anyway, so they're having that conversation, and then Nick brings up like, "Oh, I went to this gig where I had to play blindfolded," and he's like, "And you would not believe the shit I've seen, and like the women there," and that was all he said. And Tom Cruise was like, "I'm in."
That sounds like my exact vibe.
He did not ask any questions.
He did not ask enough questions.
So if this is all for real, then I think Nick's like, no, the details I'm giving you should tell you this is not your scene. Yeah, there's some nipples there, but like, there's like people who will murder you.
There's like a priest, maybe.
He did not ask any questions. He was just like, yes.
And in Nick's defense, he's probably like, I mean, it's 2 a.m. now. You're not going to get a costume in time. This isn't going to be a problem. Sure, I'll tell you. Little did he know.
I really want to know more about the logistics of his blindfolded piano playing, because even when they like altered the whole thing of the event and they pulled Tom Cruise up, he was still playing like the ominous music, like as he was, and like, "You're blindfolded. How do you know?"
Someone must come by and be like, "Hey, we're doing the trial. We just reset for that. The last guy just left. Yeah, I know. He took a taxi too. It's crazy. Just so when you hear someone go, you may approach or whatever the guy in red says, just do the weird drones, okay?
Yeah. Wait, nice and ominous.
Yeah, nice and keep it nice and ominous. Slow it down. It's really, really slow. I was trying to see because like it comes in and it's, there's weird chanting happening. It's not clear if the people in masks are chanting or if he's got like a keyboard and he has it on chant or whatever. His fingers, when you can see them, sort of match what the music's doing, but it's not one-to-one, so I don't know. Supposedly, Kubrick told the composer for this scene to make sex music. It's really funny that that's what they gave him.
I've had the sex.
You want like something drum and bass, like R&B? He's like, no! Weird, distorted chants.
Yes.
No beat.
Typical sex music.
Sex music. Come on. Don't make me do all the work. Anyway, he ends up there. He sees the word Fidelio written on a napkin that Nick writes down in front of him and lets him take the napkin. Pretty much, even though he's like, oh, wink, wink, you don't want none of this. And yeah, he has to go get the costume first. Some weird stuff happens there. We can talk about it.
That yeah. It was weird. I mean, I liked it. Every scene keeps my interest because I'm like, what is happening? And at this point, I'm still like, where are we getting to the orgy?
I love that scene where if you watch it with like this idea in your head, it feels really clear. But the actor who's playing Milich, the guy who now owns this building and costume shop, which by the way is called like Rainbow or whatever. Tom Cruise is getting to the end of the rainbow. It's like one of those things where he's like, what is going on here? I'm learning about this for the first time right now. And then the guys are like, no, we were invited here. And he's like, that's impossible. You stay here. I'm calling the cops, but not until this guy's out of earshot. And then you see him the next morning. He's like, we came to an understanding. So yeah, it just feels very much like he knew that was happening and then had to put on a show for Tom Cruise a little bit.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
I didn't realize that. I didn't think that at the time. I just
think
kind of
like
confused.
a lot of things, it could go either way. And it's more like, what's a show for Tom Cruise's benefit? What's actually happening? It all could go either way.
Yeah, I was definitely confused. I was like, I'm not 100% sure what's happening right now.
Love the details that like they have wigs on and they're powdered faces. And they're wearing like, one of them has like shiny gold underwear on. It's good.
Yeah.
The part where the girl is maybe like 14, not good. I'm not saying like this is a positive thing, but it's an interesting scene.
It is interesting.
Not in a good way.
So you loved the scene?
No, I think like we all stood up and shook our heads back and forth. No, I don't like this. Well, this is happening. I don't approve of these kinds of actions.
The wigs are fine though.
I'm calling the cops on 1999 myself. The wigs are fire, but it's in a costume shop. You got to try some odd, I guess.
The other thing too, this whole time this is going on, Tom
By the way,
was
Greg's still wearing a mask.
This costume.
Yeah.
All I could think was, you don't know what kind of costume to get.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, what's he going to get?
He was like, they said they
he's
wear
like-
masks, but they didn't tell you what kind of mask
Yeah.
whatsoever.
They didn't mention cloaks or.
And I was like, ooh, what color cloak is he going to get? And I'm like, oh, you want it with black?
He also was wearing. Tom Cruise is wearing like, I forgot what, like a suit or something. And they're like, they're not going to let you in with that. And then he basically wears a suit anyway, but with a mask now.
He said he did give him some details. I think he said it was like
Tuxedo,
tuxedos,
cloak,
cloaks,
mask,
and
yeah.
mask. Yeah.
Yeah. The three things. They really drill into it.
I just wanted him to show up with like a Bigfoot mask.
I was going to say, it could be any mask, right?
Yes.
I think Tom Cruise is like, all right, this is for sex. I know what kind of mask I need. I know what we're doing here.
And in his defense too, the masks were quite wide ranging.
Yes. Yeah. The women all had sort of like white porcelain masks. And the guy with the tri-corner hat and then like a similarly shaped pointy mask who looked like fucking scary as hell.
Yeah.
His was also white, but yeah, there was a wide range. Some people had like cubist, like
Yes.
weird art masks in all different colors and stuff. And
Someone had like a really, I forgot how to describe it other than a really creepy one. There was a couple really creepy looking ones.
there was
I like,
ones that were like faces that were screaming.
yes, faces screaming and stuff. And I was like, this is not what I would
Odd
pick.
choice.
Some of those shots of just like not even panning, but just like different shots of the crowd with the masks. God.
Yeah, I was like, if I was going to a sex party, some of these I would not pick in a million years.
Right.
Yeah. It's unclear like how many people it is a sex party for though. Like it doesn't, the percentage of people actively engaging in the sex is pretty low.
Well, I'm assuming like these are all powerful people, so like a good 70% of them are too old to have sex, and they just like to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, they all stayed in that room, right? For the most part.
There seem to be different zones.
Yeah.
That Tom Cruise didn't really get to explore all of them. Well, let's get there. Yeah. So he takes a cab.
Bad call.
He after paying $200 over sticker for renting the costume, he'll pay $100 over the meter and letting the meter run for as long as he's in the party. And he'll give him the other half of a $100 bill. What a dick move! Don't rip a $100 bill. That guy doesn't have tape handy.
It's a dick move. But I did think like, oh wow, that's funny.
I thought that was
That's the last time he exerts any form of power.
it's a good way to do it. Like, make sure you stay here for when I get back.
Yeah. Kind of works.
Kind of works.
He
don't
has the password.
Does he go back in the cab? I didn't think he does.
They don't show it, but probably.
It seems like that's what happens.
Yeah. And the people at the gate are just like, how can we help you?
Yeah.
He's like, I guess I can give you the password. Like, if you'd like.
Yeah.
He tells him Fidelio. He gets in. They run him up to the house. He gets in the house. He tells that guy Fidelio. Maybe the right move, maybe the wrong move. He gets mind tricked later. Maybe.
He does.
He enters the party. It's his exact vibe.
It's exactly what he was looking for.
You hear the chanting before he gets in there, and the piano, and the slow zoom in on the guy on the balcony as his head turns, and then he gives him like the nod, and then his head turns back. Oh, just great shit.
Yeah.
Cool. This whole thing looks awesome.
When
These
this is
ladies
going
are barely
on,
wearing clothes.
Yep. And there's the weird ritual kind of part going on. I was like, I don't know what kind of movie this is. I don't know what's happening. I don't know how this movie's gonna end. Like, what is going on now?
We're probably about 2/3 of the way into recording this episode, and this scene comes about 2/3 of the way into the movie. So, only knowing vaguely about this having an orgy in it, what'd you guys think of the orgy? Was it what you thought it would be?
It's a little underwhelming.
It was very underwhelming. I was expecting like more orgy going on.
I feel like I've seen
Not a
much
lot.
more orgy in The Boys. Like
Yeah.
much more orgy.
Yeah, it's not
It's a mild orgy.
it's not very sexy, that's for sure.
Probably a lot of orgy for 1999, though, right?
This
Maybe.
crawled so the boys could walk.
Yes.
So, worth mentioning, I said this offline before. This movie, Stanley Kubrick had contractual final cut on, and then died before it came out. The final cut he made before he died got submitted to the MPAA and didn't get an R rating. It would have been, unrated or NC-17 or whatever. But there had been seemingly some forethought about that because Kubrick had already gone through the process of making digital scans of bodies. And so in the version that's on YouTube, unfortunately, not because it's necessary to see it, but because it really makes the composition of the shots weird, a lot of the stuff Tom Cruise sees around the orgy in the cut of the movie that released at the time, and then in some cuts you can find on streaming now, like on YouTube, there are sort of weird-looking digitally inserted people standing in front of, between the shot that the viewer's seeing and the actual, potentially penetrative sex happening. Which is weird because the last time I watched this movie, I saw the other version where there's more just you're just seeing what's happening. Which is more effective because it just is really is how unsexy all of this stuff is.
I think that's what we saw because we weren't on YouTube.
Yeah.
No, we definitely had people standing so you couldn't see what was going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some obvious
Because I
ones.
was like, that's a weird choice. Like as it was panning through, I was like, that's weird. I'm like, there's people very conveniently placed so you can't see anything. I'm like, that's interesting.
Was this like a children's cartoon with the like mic stands in front of the?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I'll
It's like, you brought me to this orgy.
I gotta get this
Kubrick.
It's downloaded on my phone. Yeah, there's a couple shots in particular where it's like really obviously not people that were actually there when they filmed it.
I didn't think that it wasn't. I didn't realize that it was like people that were cut in, but I was just like, as it was panning through, I'm like, it's very conveniently placed people.
Yeah, I can show you what I mean later, but I also like I don't necessarily want to just like play that on my phone, and be like, check this out. But
Your algorithm will love it.
yeah, it's all right. I mean, I already watched it on YouTube, so it's over for me.
I was wondering what was happening in the other room with the people that were just sitting there in the masks.
They were getting ready for the trial.
What? I don't understand.
I think a lot of them can only get off if they put some when they're less, that is, they are more powerful than on trial for general moral failure.
I was so confused because like the women like chose like a couple of people and then they left, but like
Yeah, and the one that chooses Tom Cruise is immediately like conspiratorially like, oh, you're in big trouble. You got to get out of here before it's too late.
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get any answers, but
That's
I have a
you're
lot of
not.
questions.
You're not.
I just kind of followed Ziegler's answers. I thought they seemed fine.
Even when he's giving answers at the end, he's sort of swapping between multiple versions of what might have happened.
I did notice that.
nothing
At
happened.
one point, he gets like almost caught in a lie, and I was like,
Oh, God, these are people that you do not want to cross. You do not want to even interact with these people. But at the same time, nothing happened to Nick. He's back in Seattle. He's fine. And it's like, which one is it, And like, yeah, nothing, like, we didn't kill that lady. She's fine. Like, she just got her brains fucked up and then did some drugs and then like OD'd, and the apartment was locked from the inside. The cops are saying it's obviously a suicide. And you're like, you know a lot of details about this case that just happened a couple hours ago. Interesting. Yeah, I like that it kind of switches and he kind of goes from like, gig, you're my buddy. I want to see anything happen to you, to like really laying down the like law. And I don't know. It's a really cool performance from a guy that technically isn't primarily an actor.
I kind of lean towards the idea that there wasn't any danger just because it's more.
It kind of seems like, I think a lot of it is this was sort of just a goof.
Yeah, it just felt weird because I'm like, why? What is the point of having this weird murder club in this movie? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand what the point of this would be if it was that they are threatening Tom Cruise and like he is in danger and they are murdering people. And then the movie just ends with no resolution to any of that. I was like, I don't understand why that would. What does that do?
No, and like the way they set it up, where like this woman who he met before is like trying to save him, and immediately there's another one that's like.
You don't know if he's ever met those women before, or if it's even the same one he sees at the morgue.
Yeah. Well, even if it's not, it makes even less sense. Like, why is this random person you just met offering to sacrifice themselves if you've known them for literally 15 seconds?
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, well, whatever is about to happen can't be that big of a deal. Because why would this random person be like, no, me instead, kill me?
That's when they were like setting the whole thing up. I was like, oh, they're just gonna like gangbang the person, whoever it is. And she's like, I volunteer.
Yeah.
Well, no, I thought it was like it's the same one that he saved, right? Like from ODing.
Yeah.
We don't know.
It is, in a literal sense, a different person playing all of those women.
Yeah, but
That they did that on purpose to also be disorienting.
yes,
They're all different people with different voices.
perfect.
And it's a different person on the slab in the morgue.
He didn't save that woman though. He didn't do any doctoring.
No, he's just like, hey, don't die.
Slapped her a bunch.
Yeah,
Wake
he
up.
didn't do anything. It's not like
You
that
gotta
was the
stop
other
doing
thing.
this.
In that scene, I expected him to save her. Like, oh, here's your character here's your main character. I'm gonna introduce you to him. He saves someone to start the movie, but he doesn't. He just like is like, hey, he like looks in her mouth, and then he's like, yeah, okay. And then he's like, hey, wake up, stop doing drugs. And he's like, okay, watch her for like an hour. And then he leaves.
I get the same vibe from that, and I don't know. I feel like we just have different perspectives on this, which is totally fine. But I feel like him talking to her about like, you're gonna need some rehab is the same tone that he adopts with the like, we don't even know each other. I only know like we only interacted over your father's illness, and it's this whole mask, you might say, of this noble guy that he wears, but doesn't actually believe he is, or he's convinced himself he's not that guy, but he's not that guy.
I feel like I don't get to know enough about him to make that determination in this movie.
It just feels kind of fake when he's doing it, I think.
I didn't get that sense. I don't know.
It feels like it's more performance, like what he thinks he needs to do, like that, especially in the beginning. It feels like he more cares about how Ziegler is taking the whole situation than the woman who is actively in danger of dying.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree in that scene that he's more on their side than on hers, because I was like, the whole time that was going on too, I was like, is this dude like, this woman just get raped? Like, is Tom Cruise just chill with that? Like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, it definitely seemed like he called him quite a few minutes after she started having
5 or 6. He said.
Yeah,
and like
that she's been non-responsive.
From what we saw, is like he was just putting his pants on as he was getting there. So
Yep. Yeah. You don't see like it's not necessarily confirmed that she's even the one that gave herself those drugs.
right, because she wasn't really commenting either. Like,
no, there's an understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I watched the movie, so there was no point where I was like, Tom Cruise is a good guy.
no.
But I didn't think he was pretending to be a good guy. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy. I think he's just not satisfied, And this is the way that manifests, is that he just wants a little bit too much and isn't happy with where his life is. And then he like, opens some doors he shouldn't because of that. And he does not give up his inquiries, which are useless now, or whatever that note says.
Oh, yeah.
maybe, I don't know. I felt like I didn't really think that.
This movie, more than most, extremely open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I do agree with the, like, he seemed real fake, because that's why I think Nicole Kidman got mad at him, with the aggressive pot.
I thought it was the pot. It made it too aggressive. I was thinking Reaper Madness the whole time.
Because he was, like, giving
He feels very managed. He's very, like, press trained answers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very like, this is what I'm supposed to say answers. Like, for sure. Like, he wasn't really being real about it.
Yeah, but that's just Tom Cruise. I don't think that had anything to do with the character.
Again, it plays to this, performance. I think that is sort of his vibe. Okay, so
I was also thinking though that the woman in the mask could have been the prostitute he met before. But then they do the whole AIDS thing, and I was like, oh, I think they were going with that scare tactic. So that was probably a true statement instead of like, but she also could have been killed. And then her roommate was told, oh, she has AIDS, she's going to treatment, blah, 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 blah. If you want to play the...
I didn't think about that.
I feel like that's too much.
She'd have a little bit more of a reason to step in.
What does the newspaper say about that lady? I thought it said stuff about her, but I couldn't read it.
A beauty queen from Boston, I think.
Yeah.
I think she was Miss New York, I think it said.
I thought it was Miss Massachusetts.
I don't think that's what it was. You're thinking of someone else.
I don't think so.
I
thought it was Miss New York, actually. Yeah, that's what I thought it said for some reason.
Yeah, it said beauty queen, and then I'm sure you could pause it in the actual. It looked like a full article that they'd written there. The paper that he picks up before he reads it when he's being followed, very not subtly. And the creepy piano is playing. We didn't talk about the actual trial part yet, but whatever. When he picks up that paper, there's just big block letters on the front that say "Lucky to be alive."
Yes.
Which is
subtle.
funny. So the trial, he's told that the taxi cab driver wants to have a word with him, and it's a lie. They bring him into the room. Everyone's there waiting for him. They're looking at him. The guy in red, I believe, is played by Leon Vitali, who's also in Barry Lyndon, and then worked on behind the scene. He was one of Kubrick's guys, and he is probably more than any of his other guys done the most to like do archival documentary stuff about Kubrick since. Anyway, his performance is awesome as the orgy master.
Yes, as every orgy has.
He's so theatrical. It's great. And it is funny that like the ultimate threat after so much nudity and just so much meat slapping all over this house is like, show us your dick. And he's like, gentlemen, please, not that. Like, take off your robe. Like, no.
What?
The worst thing that it could happen to anyone. It's like, everyone else here is naked. What are you talking about?
What did you think was going to happen at the orgy?
Right? The other thing I thought was funny too, and I didn't realize how funny it was until later, was when he's like, that's this password. What's the other password? And Tom Cruise is like stumbling, and I was like, oh, I could see that, because like when someone asks you something that you clearly don't know and you have no ability to make it up at all, that's like the time when you're stumped, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all I could think when that was happening was like, if I was Tom Cruise right now, I'd definitely look this guy right in the face and just go, Fidelio.
Yeah.
And then at the end when he's like, there wasn't a second password, it's just the one, I was like, I would have been right. Because
Yeah.
I think all I would have been was like, it's Fidelio. Like this. I would have been like, no, it's Fidelio. And I'm like,
Does admin work?
Yeah, I definitely would have like maybe tried to like win on semantics and be like, the only one I'm aware of is Fidelio.
yeah, that's the what I would have.
Yeah.
That's the rather than I forgot. I was like,
Yeah,
there's no
he
way
was-
I forgot is not gonna fly.
He was so not
Unfortunately.
smooth about it. He was just like waiting way too long and be like, I've forgotten.
Yeah. I seem to have forgotten. And then everyone there was like, uh-oh, we're gonna see his dick now. Unfortunately, here there's no difference if you've forgotten or never knew at all. Now we'll see your dick. And he's like, God, no.
Like,
It's like everyone here's been naked for hours,
just
dude.
be chill about that. This is part of the orgy.
Yeah, this is just like your friends being like, they're pushing you in the pool because you're taking too long to jump in.
Exactly.
Like, come on, bro, get with it. Show us your dick. It's a great scene, culmination of one of the
I don't know.
best sequences in American film.
When they
That's just how they treat every new person that joins the orgy. It's like you have to really want it. If you're not willing to like, no, kill me
big thing that
or get
surprised
me
me
laid.
is when they call him out for not knowing the second password. I'm surprised he didn't use his go-to move, which is where he reaches in his wallet and goes, but actually, this is my doctor card.
Yeah. I'm
he
actually
must
here
have
on a
Literally
medical
pulls the
matter.
doctor card.
I
gets
know
a
it's
lot of
2
miles.
a.m., but I'm a doctor and I need a costume for a doctor thing.
So many times.
Just like, I'm a
out the doctor
doctor,
card.
so you should help me. It's not about doctor business.
If I don't get these things unrelated to doctor business immediately, 3 children will die.
And everyone's just like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right away, doctor.
Not to jump all over the place, but I love how Milich like clearly wasn't asleep. That's not a guy who sleeps, and also has the presence of mind to be like, this guy wouldn't be here if he's not willing to double that price. It's $100 for literally extra business. You will give me not just the extra business, but $100 on top of that. No way. All right, $200. Yeah, all right.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, that $100 is already a really good deal. This guy really
a
knows
great deal.
This guy knows to call the bluff.
Yeah, he does.
And that's $119.99.
Yeah,
That's like
that's not nothing.
$10,000 now. Probably.
Tom Cruise pays a lot of money for this
A
experience,
lot of money.
A lot.
and it's not worth it.
No.
It is not.
He doesn't get any of his answers. He doesn't get to have any sex.
So how
fucking
much
tipped
did
that
this big
hooker.
orgy adventure cost, honey?
He's tipping everybody.
He's tipping fucking everyone. Why does he bring the hooker like chocolates or something the next day?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Why?
because he thinks he's performing as the good guy. I think.
I was thinking he thought she might have been one of the people, the woman there. So he was like going and doing his
I thought he
investigation.
struck
I think
out
that's
so
all in
hard
there,
at the
yeah.
orgy. He was just settling and be like, okay, whatever. The hooker was willing to have sex with me. Let's give this another try.
I can't have sex with my stunning wife who's been trying to have sex with me for days.
He's wearing glasses.
Yes. Yeah.
Glasses.
It's anyway, so he gets kicked out. Go! And he goes, and then he comes back the next day.
Oh, because the hooker volunteers his tribute.
Yes, hooker volunteers a tribute. Take me. I'm ready to
Show my dick.
show my dick for him. No, whatever she says. I'm ready to
Redeem him.
redeem
or
him.
something?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just weird enough language that like it doesn't break the weird ritual vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And the orgy master's like, "Oh my God, you're ready to redeem him?"
He says it just
Okay.
like that too.
Okay, Tom Cruise, get back in your cab then.
Go. What's gonna happen to her? You just promised to not ask any more questions.
Anybody else want to redeem him?
All right, we're gonna need another one. This one's just for too many questions, so it's not as bad, but it's not good.
Who's volunteering his tribute?
Well, wait, how bad is that one in comparison? Another question.
Oh God, it's making it really hard to keep up the illusion that we're killing all these people.
Okay, has anyone here not volunteered to redeem Tom Cruise?
When he took off his mask, the other thing I really thought immediately was like, a good percentage of these people are probably immediately like, hey, that's my doctor.
You're probably right.
Do you think that after he left, they like had to pull lots to be like, all right, who has to give him the talk? So he was like, he just was over my house. At least he won't need directions, so I'll do it.
It's so funny. You're definitely right.
Yeah, because I immediately thought, like, I wonder what percentage of these people, like, he's their doctor. And is anyone like, I would think I want a new doctor. I don't want the orgy doctor.
I kept thinking about that guy that he showed up at his patient's house at 2 a.m. to get a costume. Like, if I was that dude and my doctor showed up at my place of business at 2 a.m., it's like, I need a costume. I'd be like, what are you doing here?
You got to help me out.
I need a new doctor.
Okay, listen, I get you saved my life, but you have got to stop doing this. How many costume emergencies can one doctor have?
Right. Like, a costume emergency cannot be anything.
Yeah.
good.
It probably worked out for Bill that the guy that he went there to see had moved like a year before, and this was not a dude he knew. Because you're right, if like that was his actual patient, it'd be like, dude, this is not appropriate. We can't do this. I don't know what this is, but
no.
one of us will get arrested.
This is gonna come back covered in cum, isn't it?
He's definitely gonna file a complaint at Bill's work.
He should. Anyway, after the orgy, there's still almost an hour left in the movie. There's like 45. I think there's like over 45 minutes,
Also,
but there's long credits.
I don't want to derail us, but now I'm thinking about Bill at his work because I forgot they had all those scenes of him working.
Yeah.
There was the whole like little montage of him with his patients. You know what I mean?
You have to, because you're like, what does Nicole Kidman mean when she says that he's squeezing all these titties? They're like, the movie is like, right this way. We'll show you.
To that part, and all I could think of when that whole thing was going on was like, has Nicole Kidman never been to the doctor? It is not a. Tom Cruise is right.
Yeah,
It's not a
always a
sexual
nurse there.
experience. Have you never been to a doctor?
I mean, it was
They
very
hope that-
strange that she was just sitting topless on the table there. Like,
that's just not how it's done.
no, like
But yeah,
Nicole Kidman might have had some. Yeah, she might have been right in those.
Nicole Kidman
complaints.
needs a new doctor. I think
Yeah.
it is not
Like,
a
there's
sexual
always a nurse
experience.
there. And he's like, yeah, and the nurses are telling me you're doing it in a really weird way. They're too scared to challenge you in the moment. But they're all kind of freaked out. Don't you notice none of them go to you for those exams?
Yeah, there's merit to what she's saying there.
Yeah, she's right.
She's right.
So he goes home. At first, she's already asleep. This isn't the time that she has the mask next to her on the bed. He goes to return the costume the next day. He doesn't have the mask. He's got to pay even more money for this experience.
I really thought he was going to milk that. He was like $25. I was like, you could have got another 200. You're an idiot.
I thought he was going to get another $200.
Yeah. I mean, this probably cost him 5 cents at most. So he made out so good on this deal.
Yeah, I thought $25 was reasonable too.
I thought it was really.
okay.
I was like, because
But he would have given him $200.
immediately when he was like, that mask is $25, I was like, is this whole costume like only $50? Why are you renting it? Who's renting it?
I'll give you $200 over the cost of the $75 costume.
And I will bring it back tomorrow first thing so someone else can rent it.
Like,
So you don't even have it gone for a full day.
Who rents something that costs like
Less to buy.
$50?
Again, it's 99 money, so if the whole thing costs $100.99, yeah, he should have just been like, "Let me just give you $200, and I don't have to ever talk to you again. I'm going to keep this."
There's no way it costs $100. The mask, he got charged $25. So like that mask costs like $10. That whole
was
costume
not purchased legally
That whole
by this
costume cost
business.
$30. I swear to God, the whole thing was $30. He rented it for I don't even know what, triple that price, which is not how the idea of renting works. It's not supposed to be triple the purchase price.
Supply and demand. It was the only place that would open for him.
It was the only place.
At 2 a.m. Yeah, so that happens. The daughter is obviously had sex with these dudes in the masks or in the powdered face.
And then
makeup
he
and
offers
wigs.
to have her have sex with Tom Cruise, I think.
Yeah, if
right?
you ever need sex with a 14-year-old, this is the place.
Yep.
Or more capes.
Yeah.
This is also the place for that. Then he tries to find Nick Nightingale. He goes to a diner just nearby, and the waitress is like, "Oh yeah, I fucking know Nick.
I know.
Guy who lives in Seattle that's just been here for 2 days. I'm very well acquainted with Nick Nightingale."
I'm very well acquainted. And then he has to whip out his doctoring card again. He says, Nick is dying.
Nick's dying. I'm his doctor. He's never given us an address or contact information.
I mean, he's trying to just dodge the bill, but he's legit dying, and I can't reach him.
I know he's in a hotel, but I am his primary physician. He doesn't live here. He flies here for his annual checkup.
That lady has decided to be a waitress full time. She's not a genius.
She is seemingly implying that she has some kind of relationship with the dude he happens to ask about, who's staying in a hotel within a couple block radius, which of course they're in Manhattan. There's a lot of hotels. Supposedly, I mean, they're in the UK. It doesn't look like Manhattan, but it's a diner. It's supposed to be, I think. I have no fucking idea. Anyway, at some point in this, he takes a taxi back to the place. They give him a printed version of the thing they said to him. Consider this a second warning. I don't know. He's
this
walking
movie
around, he
is
reads the
not
paper.
about sex anymore. Now it's a weird murder mystery, right?
Yes.
Kind
He
of,
starts
without a
making
body.
inquiries. Oh, but yeah, he goes to that hotel. Alan Cumming, the fucking goat, is the guy behind the desk there.
Mm-hmm.
He's into him, but he's gay. And so like now people are into him, but like Tom Cruise is like, "Oh, I don't want this attention now because I had a weird day and I'm sexually weird now." Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the movie's trying to imply something that like, oh, it's unwanted because he's gay and that's weird and that's maybe not great if that's the case, but whatever. Acknowledging that.
I mean, if he's not gay, then you wouldn't want it.
Wait. Has he visited the prostitute? I think we
I
missed that.
don't know the order that shit happens in anymore.
I think so, because once this stuff starts happening, he's not interested in sex anymore because he's concerned about the murders.
Yes.
So
He goes to the hospital before... Sorry, he goes to the hooker before he goes to the hospital.
I think before he goes to the
Morgue,
restaurant,
yeah.
the cafe.
Right, yeah.
Because
he picks up the paper, goes to the cafe. While he's at the cafe, he reads the news item that this lady's in the hospital.
Yes.
And then goes to the hospital. But she's dead, so he goes to the morgue.
Yes. So before all that, he goes to see the prostitute. She's not there, so he starts to feel up her roommate for some reason.
He's just immediately into it.
She was also immediately.
She's really into it, and then she's like, I'm going to stop this because you probably have HIV right now.
Yes. Yes. That's weird. Why is everyone immediately into this?
It's a weird movie. I don't know.
It's weird.
At this
He
point,
was really nice to Domino, and she liked that about him. You're the Bill?
The Bill,
Who was here 14 hours ago?
come inside and feel my titties for a little bit. Just a little bit.
At that point, when she was like, she has AIDS, I was like, oh, okay, this whole thing has been anti-AIDS PSA. Like, that's what the moral of the movie is. But then it just kept going. I was like, all right, it's probably not that.
Yeah. It's these people, they don't exist just to have sex with Tom Cruise, even though he thinks that. They have lives outside and problems and,
And HIV, yeah.
And it's also maybe like a dodged bullet because he would have had sex with that lady if Nicole Kidman hadn't paged him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah. So,
I think he would have. He was
I
really
think he
close.
would have.
He was
would've.
really trying hard to cheat on his wife, but like he kept Mr. Magoo in his way out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So he ends up at the morgue. He almost makes out with the corpse that he may or may not have ever met before.
Why does he almost make out the corpse?
He's just feeling all kinds of weird. He's fucked up right now. Then he eventually ends up in Ziegler's, not office, just one of those rich guy rooms.
Rich guy room.
He has a billiards table, but he hates billiards. So
Yeah.
he's just sort of throwing the balls around.
It's like, do you want to play? No, I absolutely do not want to play. Like, clear about that.
Yeah. It's funny that he's like, no, I'll just watch. And she should have been like, I bet you win. That's a reference you don't know. It's going to be funny in a moment. I was there last night.
Obviously.
Yeah.
We've already set up that I'm weird about sex and kind of rapey.
Yeah. So one of the questions, do you think he's the guy with the pointy mask and tri-corner hat at the thing that like gives him a nod when he comes in and later seemingly like points him out to someone in a different room?
I didn't think so. I don't think it matters though either.
I don't think he is. And I also don't think it matters. It's just like one of those weird little bits of texture that's like, it's so weird. It's so cool.
I thought that guy who gave him the nod and the point, I thought he was the orgy master.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe.
I think as that's happening, there's already a dude in red with like
I know.
Lot of
the
red in
thing
this
the
movie,
priest
huh?
has with the incense when it's time to do
Hear
the
me out.
sacrament.
That first guy that gives him the
You know how
nod
the priest
is
doing this.
the guy who gives him the nod is the orgy president. The guy at
Oh.
the trial is the orgy Supreme Court. If that makes sense.
Checks and balances.
It's checks and balances.
The guys,
Both important.
the people with the colored non-white masks around, that's the legislature.
The orgy legislature.
Right.
Correct. That's kind of how I thought it was. Like
Very
that's
organized.
like that guy.
The women are interns.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, do you know how much bureaucracy you need to start an orgy? It makes sense.
Yes. A lot of red tape.
Since we're back to the orgy, the underwear that they're wearing was purposely chosen to be like the worst, like the least appealing. It just looks not good.
That the ladies were wearing?
Yeah.
I didn't say anything when we were watching it, but when we were watching it, I was like, I don't know what's going on with the underwear, but I don't like it.
Yeah, it's weird. The way it like is on them is not appealing, but they chose it on purpose to look bad. So my
You think the orgy master chose it on purpose to look bad?
This will really fuck with Tom Cruise.
those ladies were so hot, but they had really unflattering bottoms. I don't know. It's weird. I'm so confused. It's probably, if he was allowed to ask like one more question, it would have been like, who picked these costumes? Their uniforms are, I don't know, guys. I don't think this is it. That's your final warning. Who will redeem him?
I do like that he goes back to the house too the next day.
And they're like, oh, he's fucking here. Yeah. Okay.
Immediately.
Send out the guy with the, yeah. Yeah. We knew we already printed out the envelope. It's typed, so you know we didn't just scribble it while you approached.
I like that he is the second worst person I've ever seen at trying to be sneaky when he stares at that camera.
Who's
Yeah.
the first?
He's got the opposite problem. though.
The guy from Halloween 3 spends a lot of time staring directly into the security cameras. He's trying to sneak past.
And he's like,
For a
yeah,
long time.
yeah. In his defense, like another movie where someone wears a mask when they shouldn't.
But like he just stares into the security camera. The creepy butler has to give him a note.
Yeah.
And like, what was Tom Cruise's plan there?
Just check it in.
I know I shouldn't be here. Like, what
What did he think was going to happen?
Like, yeah.
What does he think is going to? He doesn't know. That's the point. He's just looking around for answers.
He's got to keep touching the
I
stove.
think at that point they're like, "Hey, Ziegler, can you just like call your boy up?" He's just like, "Listen, I know it's the weekend, but some of us have house calls on Monday, and he's gonna miss them if we don't nip this in the bud. He's gonna kill himself for sure."
Now I'm feeling more like they are just trying to fuck with him, because when he went to the hotel, they were saying that Nick had a letter. He couldn't give it to him, but they said the letter can be picked up by anyone who's authorized to do so. So I thought he was thinking like, oh, maybe I'm authorized to go pick up this letter from Nick. And that's when he got the letter. I was like, oh, that's Nick's letter. And then it was like basically like, fuck you, LOL, bye.
Well, we all hope Nick's okay.
I honestly don't care. And
Whoa.
that was one of my problems with the movie.
He's
is
a
like,
family man.
He's got like
Like-
9 kids, I think he said.
he has
He's in
like,
Seattle.
like 5 minutes of time on screen. I'm like, I know nothing about this person. They're like, he's missing, maybe dead. I'm like,
they're about to lose the Sonics to Oklahoma City. Like it's going to be pretty bad for Nick in Seattle.
I don't understand.
It's I don't know if he hadn't directed 3 really good movies after this. I don't know if I'd care about Nick Nightingale too much. He's got to direct more. Yeah, Tar was his first movie in 17 years. Come on.
Damn.
That was a good movie, though.
Was he stuck in it?
But yeah, I believe what
He's
Ziegler
just
says.
busy playing
the
blindfold
most
piano
part.
at orgies. Yeah, no,
I believe they just tried to scare him.
I believe that part of it. I don't believe the parts where he is trying to like intimidate him more. And that seems to be like also for his own good. But yeah, I believe that it is sort of just like this was scaring you straight kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also there's some guys at that thing, they really get off on that sort of thing. Not me. Those guys.
That could make sense too, because the whole time I was like, I believe they're trying to scare him. I was like, but this seems like a lot. Like you could just be. I feel like they could have just been like, "You're not allowed here. You're trespassing. You have to leave." And then the person be like, "Oh, well, that sucks. I got kicked out of the orgy." But like, I think that'd probably be the end of that.
You kind of have to go out of your way to make the person like way more suspicious than they would have been had you just like kicked them out like a normal person.
Yeah, be like, "You're not allowed at the orgy."
Like, no, let's do a bunch of Scooby-Doo shit beforehand, and then you get kicked out.
Because that's all I could think. I was like, this problem is only because they did all the Scooby-Doo shit. If they had just been like, "Tom Cruise, you're not allowed at the orgy," he would have been like, "Ah, man," and he would have left and went home. Probably
Foiled again.
Foiled again.
Foiled again.
That's I thought he was gonna go out, but he was gonna be like Fidelio, and they'd be like, "That is the password for the piano player, and we already have one. So who are you?"
I was thinking the same thing too. I was like, how do they like? I feel like you'd give a different password to
For the help?
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking too. I was like, the help definitely has a different password.
Why does the help need a password at all?
It's part of it. It's part of the aesthetic, I think.
Yeah,
It's like a theme. It's a themed party.
I guess it's
The
a
theme is cult and sex, and we're giving that guy a password too. It's fun for them. I don't know.
Who do you think blindfolded him and like let him in?
the door people.
Yeah, the door people.
You think so?
There's
For
so
sure.
many door people that could have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but he
how
had the
many-
same password as everyone else. Did he like be like, "Hey, I'm the piano guy, Fidelio"?
So yeah, that's the problem. If you don't give the help a different password, you show them says like Fidelio, and they're like, "Okay, go into the sex party." And he's like, "What?" I'm here to play piano.
I just trust that the door guys are competent enough to know what he looks like.
Then why he doesn't need a password then?
No, but the password's part of it.
It gets the door guys off.
There's some CEO in there that can't get off. If anyone in here didn't give a password. There's some Fortune 500 motherfucker in there that's like, wait, he didn't give the password? You just let him in because you knew him? This is fucked up. You know this doesn't work for me.
Maybe it's just practical. Fidelio is actually the safe word, so they have to make sure that everybody knows it.
That's true. It could work.
I do think it's really funny that they hired a pianist and like blindfolded him. Like, why not just play like a cassette?
You're telling me nobody there knows how to.
The vibes would be all off.
It's part of it.
You need a pianist.
Either nobody knows how to play piano, or none of you have like a close enough friend where you can be like, "Hey, I need you to like just come play piano and not be weird about it."
They want him to be weird about it.
I think Ben's right. They want him.
I think they want a guy who doesn't realize he could ask for way more money because of the people in this room. You know what I mean? Like, he's not dumb. He kind of went to med school. He dropped out, but he seems like he's the kind of guy who wouldn't think to ask a lot of questions. I think that's probably important to them. You don't get a lot of time with him, but he just like.
I bet Nick negotiated. He's probably making big money at this weird event because he seems excited to tell Tom Cruise about it and like, oh, like I'm doing this thing.
Dude, if I did this gratis, I would tell the first person I saw. You wouldn't believe the nips in these parties.
That's true. He also wouldn't have been
a huge fucking head. I would suck on him.
Yeah, I'm talking to whatever that guy's name, Tom Atkins or whatever from the 80s. That's not a man who lives to see the 90s. He's still alive, but he doesn't look like he should be. You know what I mean?
You hate that guy so much.
He hasn't, specifically, I've said a billion times in that episode, he's great in The Fog and in other movies. The character and him in it are just the worst in Halloween 3. He kind of has a similar arc to Tom Cruise, where he's just like, he asks too many questions and gets in way over his head, but it shouldn't be possible because his head's so big. Anyway.
Oh, God. Yeah, he's a doctor, too.
He is a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is also a doctor. Mm-hmm. This is obviously a ripoff of Halloween 3.
It is. There's masks.
I forgot. It is a ripoff.
A lot of weird sex.
Blatant anti-Irish sentiment.
There's blatant.
Robbie, you gotta watch this movie now.
something to hear about Halloween 3 a lot.
I think ultimately Greg was right. We got to cut this out. I think ultimately Greg was right that the villain's whole thing sort of boiled down to, I think it would be fun for me if this happened.
So
that was it.
He's just doing a bit the whole time?
Yes.
He's sort of just doing a
he
bit.
is.
He's
Yes.
sort of just doing a bit.
He briefly does a monologue. He says he's just doing a bit, but then he does a monologue about like, back in the old times in Ireland and like we would do this ritual and I like the idea of having the ritual back. But then he's ultimately just like, honestly, it just sounds funny.
He like says that.
Mostly over 90% of it for me just feels like the right thing for me right now.
Like doing jokes.
It's going to be real funny.
I specifically mentioned on that episode, Robbie, all I could think of is the Spider-Man strip where he's like, you can change the DNA, you can cure cancer. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. That's the kind of vibes the guy gives off.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, no, this was the goal. Anyway.
I'm sorry, I derailed us.
So yeah, then he visits Stonehenge and then now I can't cut out all the Halloween 3 talk. That's what I'm going to come back in on. Anyway, so ultimately he gets back to his house that night. Again, he's been like wandering all day. He has that. We talked a lot about the Ziegler talk earlier, so I'm sort of just yada-yadaing that now. And the mask is on the pillow, and that sort of makes him break down. And he says he'll tell Nicole Kidman everything. And then great cut to her, like bleary-eyed. They've obviously just like not gone to sleep that night. He's told her everything. And they're like, well, we have to go to FAO Schwartz now.
We have to.
We have to Christmas shop.
Yeah.
That's what having kids is like.
Yeah, like when the kid runs away, it's like, okay, we're going to have a very serious conversation in 7-second bursts while the kid is more than 10 feet away until they come back.
Yep.
And that whole time I was like, look, see, I'm glad, like, it was important that it was a Christmas movie. Otherwise, this scene wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're not a family that buys toys for their kids year round. I don't think so.
No, for sure not.
Helena, good luck to her. Those parents are going to split within like 2 years, I think.
Oh yeah, if they make it that long.
They're just
But
too
they're
hot.
gonna fuck first.
One thing they really must do as soon as possible, or however she puts it. I was reading the IMDb quote page when I did the intro, so it was however I phrased it then. Great final line, and then that is the final word, literally, in, I guess, the most storied career of any American filmmaker. American/British. He didn't live in America for a lot of his career, but he's from America, so we get him.
That is the weirdest way to end this movie.
It should then be like a CSI, and then like it's the Who song after she says fuck. Like the guy put his sunglasses on.
They just they were just up all night and being devastated by all of Tom Cruise's infidelity, and then the next
Attempted infidelity.
Infidelity.
his infidelity,
Unfulfilled fidelity.
and then she's just like, you know what, we gotta fuck wicked bad now. Nothing has made me more into you than all of the attempted infidelity.
So, if her main point in the earlier pod argument was that she just wanted him to be straight up with her, he was very straight up with her.
All right. Yeah.
And he's fully like, your call. What do we do now? It feels like we're in a really weird, precarious position and are both like thinking a lot of things that we don't feel comfortable with. And she's just like, fuck it. Let's just try and see if it works. I think that's cool. I don't think it's hopeful. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
How many times have you guys had this conversation at a KB Toys or whatever still exists?
It happens a lot. Yeah. It's every other weekend when I go out and spend thousands of dollars attending orgies.
That's why Greg never wants to spend money.
Tell Ray that I'm working.
That's the thing. It's like
I gotta work late.
It's probably the worst thing to talk like he spent enough money that even though they're rich, he probably has to give her a heads up like, listen, I spent a lot of money.
Well, I don't know. Presumably it was all cash that he just has
in his wallet. I was thinking that too.
It's his house call pocket change that he gets like he's getting tipped, right? When he's out there.
Probably.
Do you tip a doctor? That feels demeaning.
I don't know if they help you keep a hooker alive at your Christmas party.
That's tip worthy.
Yeah, he probably got like a few $100s in cash from him from that. Maybe that's what he's been working off of the rest of the movie.
Oh, that was my save a hooker fund. It's fine. It's just
leave a hooker, take a hooker.
It's funny. And he was like, can we get her out of here? And he's like, well, let her stay there for like a bit and then have someone drive her home. And he's just like, all right.
Yeah, I'm going to do both those things. Just leave now.
Oh, yeah. Let's have someone monitor her and then give her a ride home. Sure.
Just like shaking his head, kick her out as soon as he's gone.
Just toss her at the fucking window. Yeah. Those people, not for me. Not my kind of people.
No.
Oh, really?
I'm not afraid to say it either.
It's weird.
I would have fucked that guy up in the art gallery.
That guy. Loved his vibe.
He had a pretty interesting vibe.
It's not like anyone else.
No.
He was definitely somewhere in a mask, though. Like, he was staying for the real party the next day. That's why he was there.
That's why everyone's in town.
It's probably part of their kink. You go, let's hang out with a bunch of people that don't know about the orgy. I'll enjoy the actual orgy so much more than the next day.
What's the point in the masks if it seems like they all know who each other is?
It's part of it.
Maybe they like switch sometimes. Like you normally always wear a mask, but then like you want to like fuck with somebody, so you switch with somebody.
I'm always cubist, but today I'm going to be weird screaming person.
Mm-hmm.
I think the point of most like masquerade things is that you do generally know who the people are, but there's the understanding of like
we're not going to talk about this.
Yeah. I think so.
It's a weird sex thing.
It's an indemnifying sort of thing.
I saw you doing some crazy shit. No. You saw
some plague
guy
doctor doing that.
that looked like me in a plague doctor mask. Could have been me. Could have not been me. You don't know.
The whole time they're at that orgy, you're like, someone here's wearing a plague doctor mask, and they save it for the guy that leads the person away when they're redeeming Tom Cruise. And you're like, they saved it for the perfect moment.
I was thinking that too, actually. Oh, that's good.
You saved it for the perfect moment. It's the creepiest one. Props. All right. You want to get into ratings?
Oh, there's a lot of red in this movie. Notice a lot of red.
There's a lot of red, and every time there's red, a couple seconds later, you see a ghost.
Yep.
We did Sixth Sense two episodes ago.
Oh. Who was on Sixth Sense?
Uh-oh, he's wearing red.
Uh-oh.
Look out.
Who was on Sixth Sense?
Anthony. He hadn't seen it before.
You would have known if you listened to the episode.
I did. I just forgot his
I
name.
actually haven't seen The Sixth Sense either.
Yeah. Well,
You haven't seen The Sixth Sense?
You haven't seen The Sixth Sense?
I feel like I don't have to because I know what it's about.
Do you know the big twist?
Yes. Like everybody does.
Who told you?
yeah. So you know that
Someone spoiled it.
Toni Collette does a Philadelphia accent in it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
now
she
now definitely
does.
gonna watch it. Now all the good stuff's spoiled.
That bald guy in it is Bruce Willis the whole time.
What?
Whole time.
The bald guy was Bruce Willis the whole
The
time?
whole time.
Holy shit.
That's a It's Always Sunny joke. Just
The twist in the end credits is that he's playing his character from Die Hard.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Pilgrims.
On a scale of 0.5 to 5, on any scale of your choosing aside from stars, what would you give Stanley Kubrick's stone cold, unquestionable masterpiece, Eyes Wide Shut?
I'm always unprepared with a thing.
I'm ready. I'll give it the masterpiece 2.5 out of 5 Orgy Supreme Court members.
Some vacancies on that
There is.
bench.
It's not even enough for a majority.
No, you can't even have a quorum. They're dead. They're just, they're very inefficient. These days. What's the 0.5? One's just like in hospice, but they don't have term limits.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5. Aren't you a little short to be a masked orgy person?
That's probably how they knew who he was. Yeah.
That's what I said, yeah.
I'm gonna give it 2 out of 5 gross orgy underwears.
They were bad underpants. Not good.
So sorry, Ben.
Well, yeah, this is a 5 out of 5. But what is it 5 out of? 5 out of 5 inquiries, which are now useless. Yeah, this movie's incredible. So the question we've been threading through this month is, what would you change? This one's going to be a really easy one for me. But what would you change about the way movie, history, culture, whatever has developed in the last 25 years? 1999, just about, fin de siècle, turn of the century. It's about to be. A bunch of stuff's going to happen. We were talking about the filming of this. Digital videos right on the horizon. Stuff's about to look a lot worse. And first week, Anthony said video rental stores, like the experience of going in, picking out a movie. It's Friday nights. You get to see the boxes everywhere. He'd still have those around. Brady had to go in last week. I forgot what it was. So, go something like that.
Good.
With things we wish hadn't changed, or
It's differences in what you would have done differently. I guess the first couple were like stuff you wouldn't have changed, but just, way things have developed in the last 25 years. What would you do different?
not necessarily movies.
You can do whatever you want. I think I'm hedging by making it broader just so there's answers.
Well, I would say as far as like movies go, I hate the trend of like breaking movies into as many movies as possible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Keeping movies as just a movie
Yes.
would be good.
Just a movie, please.
I remember.
Part 1 through 7.
There you go.
No sequels at all.
Yeah, no more sequels.
I don't want sequels.
Original stuff. If you look at like what Pixar's had to do for the last several years, it's just
It's terrible.
I remember Brady's. It was movie tie-in products, like going to the store and every Doritos bag has someone's face on it from a movie. Just everything is like, let's go get the Eyes Wide Shut ice cream flavor that Baskin Robbins has right now.
They wanted that?
Yeah.
Or they did want it.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
And more popcorn buckets.
More popcorn. Yeah.
They are doing more popcorn buckets.
I want
They're getting into popcorn
screaming
buckets.
orgy mask popcorn bucket.
When I was at the last couple of days when I was in DC, I was thinking like, oh, can I go to a movie? Because it was near a Regal and there's no Regals around here anymore. And Regal had an Alien Romulus like face hugger bucket. And I was like, is it worth doing that? And then I was like, I don't think I can carry that on the plane home. I'm gonna have to like ship it.
I have a dad complaint about Alien Romulus. Have any of you seen it?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna give you my dad complaint about it because I haven't seen it either.
Oh, okay, good.
Why is the opening banner for Disney Plus this horrible red image of a guy with a face hugger? They do realize Disney Plus is for children, right?
Not anymore.
If you hit a button for like, if you go to a profile that is marked like for kids, is it a different banner image?
I don't know. We only have one profile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's funny. I did notice that because I went onto my Disney Plus and was like, Alien Romulus.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't specifically make a kid's profile because I was like, it's Disney Plus. I think we'll be okay.
well, that's how they're going to end up watching Deadpool versus Wolverine when it comes out.
That is true.
Yeah. So, is there anything you'd change about how the last 25 years or so have gone?
Would have killed James Cameron.
Oh, shit. When?
When?
25 years ago, right after Titanic.
Oh, right
Okay.
after.
So you would just take the last two avatars off the board?
Yeah.
Well, the currently only two avatars.
None of us
And
picked
25 years of deep sea exploration.
None of us picked Stop 9/11, huh? Nope.
That's why I was trying to hint that some say
actually,
it's a pretty broad question. I don't know.
I take mine back. I stopped that movie that we made about 9/11.
There's so many.
Was it like
There's a few.
World Trade Center with like Nicolas Cage or something like that?
Something like that. There's United 93 is a movie. Mine's easy. Stanley Kubrick not dying and making more movies.
You'd save his life? That's funny because
I'm glad I killed James Cameron.
There won't be enough room for all the Stanley Kubrick and James Cameron movies.
Yeah, there's only room for one of them. Only one of them can make Avatar.
Did you think you could recreate without a cost?
You got to swap. It's a 1-to-1, zero sum. You talk about sequels, I think. So that's kind of a jokey answer, and then I'll give kind of a piggyback on your answer. Just I'm cool with connected universes. I'm good. No thanks anymore. I think I'm good.
No, those are as bad as sequels.
Yeah.
Yep.
Worse, I think, because then it's like, oh, you want to see the new C+ Marvel movie? I hope you've got 20 hours for bad TV
Oh, God.
to understand who any of these people are. Yeah, not for me.
Apparently, you need to watch Loki to get everything in Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Oh, God. Well, I know that like the time, the TVA or whatever, right? You need to know about them from Loki, but do you need to know more than like, this is who they are? 'Cause, like,
I'm not sure. I haven't seen it.
okay, there you go. There you go. Well, I bet that's all you need.
Okay.
Anything else we want to discuss? Any other final thoughts? This isn't as long as the movie, but it's one of our longer episodes in a bit.
Oh,
Not as long as The Shining. The Shining at the time was our longest ever episode. It was over 2 hours. A mistake. When I've corrected over time, most of the episodes are right around an hour these days. This will be longer.
You don't have a lot to cut out.
We got to the
It's
movie
optimistic.
pretty quick. We got to the movie within the first 7 minutes. It's usually like at 20, man. And that's where I can
I was
cut a
excited
lot.
to talk about this one.
I know, me too. I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, I feel like we talked about it a lot, but I just want to make sure we got all our thoughts.
think
that
we got
need to
everything.
have.
I'm excited to see you have to put this rating up on Letterboxd.
Dude, me too. I haven't in probably over 9 months used that letterbox.
Update it.
It's just every day, every episode I don't update it, it becomes more of an intimidating task to backtrack or to backdate them or whatever. Because
just
I gotta
start
go.
with
I
this
gotta go
one.
to the part of the episode where the ratings at, but I gotta type them all in. I gotta remember the context for why
You don't
it
have
was
an
funny.
intern who can do that?
Dude, oh my god.
I bet you
keep
can make an AI do it.
I keep trying to like get these interns in, and then the orientation's like, all right, I got to put on the red robe. I got to borrow the fucking incense chain and ball thing from a priest.
I just don't understand. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to understand, but
I honestly haven't.
You're going, don't let this ruin your life like it did Tom Cruise's life. You
it's
have
going
to
to
accept that you're not going to get all the answers.
I'm
I'm just upset about it. I'm just upset about it.
I've honestly never been to an orgy that was different than that one.
It's pretty standard for an orgy.
Oh.
Now, if this was a key party that had this, that would be too much.
It would be too much.
I don't know.
I think it's just important that we remember that.
If it was a more accessible orgy, there'd be a lot uglier people there.
That's true.
Yes.
Man.
That's why they're wearing masks.
We just have to remember that 2 to 3 days of attempted infidelity that ends poorly and almost getting HIV is equally bad as if your spouse has a dream where they cheat on you in the dream.
Equally bad.
Equally bad.
The message.
They were bad people on both sides.
That is a bad faith reading of the text. We didn't even mention all of the sex scenes that are
With
Bill's
Nicole Kidman?
imagining
Yes.
Nicole Kidman having throughout the film. I said Bill and then Nicole Kidman, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
How dare she make him think those thoughts?
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Bad
That was
people on both sides.
They didn't let Tom Cruise see any of that footage. He just had to like imagine it. And then a move that was pretty rare for the time. Nicole Kidman got final cut on any time she was nude. Kubrick was like, you get to see it and approve anything that ends up in the movie. Which was not the MO for most directors in the 90s.
That's nice.
Anyway, and then he died. And we got 2 Avatar
It's funny
movies instead.
because right around when this movie finished, I was also ready to die. So I can understand.
I'm trying to think what we've done that would be better than this. I like The Shining more, but I think this is a better movie as far as Kubrick goes. I don't know.
I'll disagree with that.
Also 90s, also sort of trippy. Silence of the Lambs, maybe.
Silence of the Lambs also better than this.
I don't know if it is, but it's like in the conversation of just like best movies we've done. Did we do 2001 or just talk about 2001?
We just talked about it.
Okay, I thought so. Because I was trying to remember if we'd done any other Kubricks besides The Shining and now this.
I just keep wondering what Avatar by Kubrick would be like.
Maybe very different, I think. They as filmmakers care about a lot of different things, you know?
The avatars would definitely just be used for sex purposes.
Yeah. This and I mean, Kubrick cares so much about shot composition, and James Cameron cares so much about whale juice that makes you live forever.
He's always talking about that whale juice.
Drowning his actors.
I gotta fucking drown this actor. Yeah, him and Stanley both have very different fetishes.
They'd probably get along well. They just like torturing their actors, I guess.
Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, despite what people read into or projected onto the movie based on how their relationship turned out or how they imagined it was at the time, both said they had a really good time shooting the movie. It was great. They got to just be in one place for like a year and be with their kids and their family, which is unusual in the life of an actor. And they had a good working relationship with Kubrick, and they enjoyed the process, apparently.
Yeah, because Kubrick was always just like, all right, Tom, now I need to make you to make your like normal, regular resting face right now. And then they do like a close up. It's terrifying. That was so good. Just
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because Cruise was really frustrated because Kubrick wasn't telling him what to do. He was just saying like, no, I think you're perfect for the part. Just be yourself. And Tom Cruise, you can imagine him reacting like, I'm nothing like this guy. You have to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing here because this is not me. And Kubrick was just like, no, I hired you because you're perfect for this role.
that's anytime they were doing those close-ups on his face and it was just supposed to be like a weird like face that he's making. I'm like, no, this is just Tom Cruise being like, this is the mask off for Tom Cruise. Like
Great movie. So much symbolism. People still debate it. It should have its own Room 238 or whatever the weird documentary about The Shining is. I think it's called Room 238.
So the general consensus, though, is that this is a good movie.
It's become that. At the time, it was not well received. It was fairly panned at the time, fairly widely panned at the time. Consensus came around probably in the last 10 years or so. And then it was one of those things where it was like trendy for a while to be like, it's actually good. And now it's just sort of, it's not a hot take anymore. There was that thing that's like, Die Hard's actually a Christmas movie. And how that's like a 10-year-old thing. No one talks about that anymore. Whether or not they agree with it, it's just like no longer interesting to debate. That's sort of where Eyes Wide Shut is. People either, as much as anyone cares about it, they think it's good. No one like gets animated about saying they don't like it anymore, I guess I should say.
Except for this group.
Yeah. Well, maybe 25 years will come around to it.
No,
I don't know.
maybe.
I think it's rewarding on further watches. It's based on a novel, Traum Novelle, which we never said. Traum Novelle, dream story, same, translation. Wait, interesting. Dream story is what the novel's called. So the guy's actually Jewish. There's like roving gangs of dudes yelling anti-Semitic things at him. It's translated in this movie to the homophobic thing.
Interesting.
I don't know if any of that makes it, but just in case people want to call us out, should at least mention when things are based on books, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't fucking know. Anyway, Kubrick considered this his greatest contribution to humanity.
Did he?
But he didn't consider that very long.
Poor guy. There is what I was going to get into conspiracy theories around it that like, oh, they killed Kubrick because this was getting too close to the truth. And then it's like no one like really thinks that, but you can Google that and probably find some Reddit threads. And it's just funny to think that like Warner Brothers was like, well, we can kill him, but we still have to release this thing. We still have to put this in 2,000 screens in multiple countries.
Those people that it's based on are also our investors, and if we lose money on the film, it's kind of like a catch-22.
All right, well, we got Stan, but fuck, this contract's ironclad. We got to put it out.
Well, it's like, I'm sure Epstein's bullshit came out and they were like, see, we were right. And it's like, okay, no, like, that's not exactly the same thing.
Unlike The Shining, I feel like a lot of the conspiracy theories around this movie are from people who haven't seen it, but just assume it's about Epstein-y type stuff.
That makes sense.
There's only one underage child sex trafficking happening.
And we never know that she's exactly underage. She just looks really fucking young. I don't know. What do you think she whispers to Tom Cruise when she's hiding behind him?
Fuck. The same little glass.
I think we have to do as soon as possible.
Fuck.
Oh, God. Well, I want to eat an ice cream sandwich. I don't know about y'all.
Oh.
You can find stuff on Linktree. That was in words. You can find our stuff on Linktree. linktr.ee/late to the movies. Yeah, you just go do that. There'll be commemorative masks in the merch store soon.
Ooh.
Of my face.
Of Greg's face.
A link to our
Currently.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Be Greg's face wearing a rabbit? A
cat, maybe.
Cat? Okay.
Yeah.
A cat mask, but just like on his forehead so he doesn't block his glasses. Yeah, that'll about do it. Ray, Greg, Robbie, thanks for being on.
Yeah.
Yo.
Ooh.
Another unanimous 5-star.
Kind of.